Although Gene Hackman has died, the mysteries surrounding his death have not only shocked Hollywood, but they have also caused a rift in his own family that can't be fixed. A legendary person like Gene Hackman should have had a proper funeral, with honors and news stories full of respect. But things didn't work out that way. It wasn't a peaceful death when he and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found in their quiet Santa Fe home. Death of famous actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa. This week, a maintenance worker found the couple's body in their New Mexico home along with their dog. There's an open pill bottle on the table and pills all over the floor. Near Betsy's body, their beloved dog was found dead in a closet. Hackman's pacemaker was acting strangely on the night he died. What really took place? What happened? A plot that's not being told? What about something even worse? And even though most people still don't know the answers, a new battle has already begun in secret. There is a fight over his $80 million fortune. There is no room for sadness in this battle. Only anger, suspicion, and questions that haven't been answered. Although Gene Hackman had 3 kids, he never really got close to them. From Hollywood to his family, he was an absent father and a mysterious shadow that no one could ever really reach. His wife, Betsy, who was thought to be in charge of all the money matters, is also no longer alive. Now, there's no one left to answer the most important questions. Who has the real power over his inheritance? Hackman died, but did he really leave his kids anything? Or had everything been rigged a long time ago? What hidden secrets have been there for a long time? Gene Hackman's story is not just some made-up movie plot. It looks like an unfinished Hollywood script. It's a dark story about a family torn apart by the ghosts of the past and mystery. Not only was Gene Hackman famous for playing tough guys on screen, he was also thought to be one of the best actors ever. Although Hackman was famous while he was on stage, he wasn't as famous when the cameras stopped rolling. He changed. He became cold and distant, and even with the people closest to him, he always kept up an invisible wall. Hackman was married twice in his 95 years, with Faye Maltese being his first wife. His children's names were Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie. Hackman was their father, but he was never really present in their lives. Gene Hackman was always busy with long filming days, endless travel, and years of enjoying the fame of Hollywood. While everyone admired him, his children grew up in silence because he wasn't there. According to a close friend, his job always came first. Family was always something that was there in the background. Chris, Elizabeth, and Leslie didn't remember him having family dinners, teaching his kids how to ride a bike, or even just giving them a hug before bed. There was no father for them. They had a famous Hollywood star that everyone admired. Hackman and Faye Maltese got a divorce in 1986 after being married for 30 years. But the divorce wasn't what broke my heart. It was how Hackman stopped being in his kids' lives completely after that. There were fewer and fewer phone calls. Fewer meetings happened. Over time, Hackman stopped talking to his own family. Nicholas, Elizabeth, and Leslie got used to living without their dad. They didn't expect, though, that Hackman would start a whole new life just a few years after leaving his old family, going out with another woman. Hackman got married to pianist Betsy Arakawa in 1991. She was 31 years younger than him. At that moment, Hackman's last chance to see his old family was gone for good. His wife Betsy was more than that. Everything around him was under her control. She took care of all of his calls. Not even Hackman's closest friends could get in touch with him. She was in charge of his money. She was in charge of all real estate deals. What was most important was that she managed his personal relationships. A friend of many years once told me, "Every time I called Gene, Betsy answered. All of his calls were handled by her. You wouldn't be able to talk to Gene if Betsy didn't want you to." Nobody knew if this was Hackman's choice. Nevertheless, one thing was certain. Hackman broke up with all 3 of his children after Betsy came into his life. Their presence in his life had ended. His few letters were never sent. The calls were never connected. Gene Hackman, who used to be a distant father, turned into a mystery that no one could solve. Writing to his oldest son Christopher in his Santa Fe log cabin in 1995, Hackman said, "I know I was never the father you wanted me to be, but you have to understand. Never really belonged to anyone, not even my own family." There was no way that letter ever got out of his drawer. Afterward, he sent more letters to Elizabeth and Leslie over the next few years. They never got a single one, though. Hackman avoided his family all his life. Did he ever feel bad about it afterward? Or did he know that he was meant to be a legend and not a dad? Would his kids even want to read those letters if they were found after he died? Hackman's kids never said bad things about Betsy in public, but it was clear they didn't like how she ran their dad's life. This makes me think of a lot of troubling things. Hackman seemed to want to be distant from his children. Was this really his choice, or was Betsy's influence the main reason? Did he really want to leave them his money, or had his second wife already told him what to do? Hackman made a lot of changes to his will in his last years, which may hold the answers. The final draft of Gene Hackman's will is one of the biggest mysteries since he died. He made changes to it many times over the years, but no one is sure where his $80 million will go. Did Hackman leave his children any money? Did everything get sent to Betsy? What would happen to his money if Betsy, who was supposed to get most of it, died at the same time? Suppose Hackman hadn't changed his will to account for the possibility that both of his spouses would die at the same time. Because of how inheritance laws work, his estate could get caught in a long legal battle. Who could properly claim it? If his kids really wanted something, would they be willing to fight for it? Or would a party he didn't expect join the fight for his money? Also, Betsy's mother is still alive, though she has dementia. By law, Betsy's mother could become the legal heir if Hackman left everything to her, but didn't make a backup plan. This could make the Hackman family and Betsy's family very angry with each other. Everything points to one clear fact. Is at the center of a court case that could last for years. Will his 3 kids be able to get back what was rightfully theirs, or have they been kicked out of his will completely? Most importantly, who will really get Hackman's money if no one can legally change the will? There's no simple answer. A legal battle is starting that is quiet but very dangerous. It may last longer than the famous movies Gene Hackman made. Gene Hackman had a huge fortune worth up to $80 million that he had built up over decades of hard work in the arts, even though he had stopped acting for a long time. His wealth came from more than just movie salaries. It also came from real estate, royalties from his old movies, book sales, and strange investments he had never talked about in public. One amazing thing about Hackman's wealth was the amount of real estate he owned. For more than 30 years, he and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, lived in a fancy estate in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It was a large, peaceful place that fit perfectly with his choice to live away from Hollywood in his later years. The Southwestern-style estate was built on a huge plot of land and is now thought to be worth more than $10 million. Before he moved to Santa Fe, Hackman owned a number of valuable properties. His first wife, Faye Maltese, and he used to live on a 25-acre estate in Montecito, California. That house was sold in 1985. That time, it was worth about $5.5 million. But because of how fast the real estate market has been going up, it's now worth more than $25 million. One of the U.S.'s most expensive places to live. When it was later put on the market, it went for an amazing $79 million at one point. But Hackman was rich in more ways than just real estate. Even though he stopped acting in 2004, he was still making a lot of money in the movie business. Classics that will never go out of style, like The French Connection, Superman, Unforgiven, and The Royal Tenenbaums, still bring in millions of dollars in royalties every year. Hackman's name is still remembered after all this time, and money keeps coming in from DVD sales, streaming services, and international TV syndication. But Hackman's investments outside of entertainment were what really made his wealth interesting. He was famous for being more than just an actor. He was also a smart investor. He owned shares in big investment funds and was in charge of financial portfolios that not many people knew about. Even worse, Hackman had bank accounts in places like Switzerland, the Cayman Islands, and Singapore that are known as safe havens for money. It was very hard to track his transactions because they went through a web of fake companies that not even his closest friends and family knew about. Even so, that wasn't the most amazing thing that was found. Everyone was shocked by one file in particular. Hackman set up the GH Legacy Fund in 1993, right after winning his second Academy Award. It is a secret financial trust. No one knows what this fund is for, but one thing is certain. No one in Hackman's family was named as a beneficiary. Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie are not coming. This brings up a very important question. Someone Hackman really trusted besides his family? Beyond his Hollywood fame, Hackman seemed to be a private person who kept his deepest secrets to himself. He didn't say why he set up the GH Legacy Fund or why he purposely left his family out of it. For sure, though, this wasn't your average investment trust. It was a long-planned way to make money that not even his closest friends and family could get to. The complexity of Hackman's wealth not only showed how rich he was, but also how much control he had over his life until the end. Anyone who thought Hackman was just a great actor was wrong. His actions were always planned, even after he died. It's clear that lawyers are getting involved right now. If the court says that the general laws for inheritance should be used to handle his estate. By doing this, the kids he had grown apart from might not get anything, while someone else could control his money. There are more questions than answers right now. Are Hackman's 3 kids going to be able to get back what they think is rightfully theirs? Or will they have to watch their dad's whole legacy go to strangers? The court case could last for years, and like a Hollywood script, it's full of mysteries that haven't been solved yet. Gene Hackman not only had a controversial life, but he also left behind performances that will go down in movie history as classics. He was one of the most respected actors in Hollywood before he got into fights over his will and inheritance. A man who overcame a tough past to become one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Unfortunately, Hackman's way to fame wasn't easy. When he was younger, no one could have imagined that the boy who got kicked out of high school and joined the military at 16 would one day become the biggest star in the movie business. Hackman was born in 1930 in San Bernardino, California. His childhood was not stable at all. His father left his family when he was only 13, leaving his mother to deal with things on her own. Hackman did not have a full family, so he grew up being independent but very uneasy. When he was 16, he quit school and joined the Marine Corps. He worked as a field radio operator for more than 4 years. It was there that he first became interested in acting and media. Hackman joined the University of Illinois after leaving the military to study journalism and TV production. His time in school didn't last long, though. His relationship ended quickly, and he moved to Los Angeles to take acting classes at the Pasadena Playhouse. That's where Hackman met Dustin Hoffman, another actor-to-be. Both of them were told they had no future in the business. One of Hackman's teachers even told him that he would never make it as an actor. Hackman didn't give up, though. He used the criticism to drive him to prove them wrong. He had a lot of small parts in the beginning of his career. He worked many odd jobs to make ends meet, such as driving a truck, selling shoes, and being a security guard. But he kept trying to reach his goal. Robert Rossen, the director, gave him his big break when he cast him in Lilith with Warren Beatty in 1964. Filmmakers, especially Beatty, were interested in the movie and would later play a key role in Hackman's career. In 1967, Beatty set up Hackman's meeting with Bonnie and Clyde director Arthur Penn, which led to a huge chance. At first, Hackman wasn't the first choice to play Buck Barrow, but his honest, intense performance helped the movie become a huge hit. The part got him his first Academy Award nomination, which marked the start of his career in movies. Hackman quickly got bigger roles after Bonnie and Clyde. However, it was his role as Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection in 1971 that made him a star. Hackman won the Oscar for Best Actor for this role, and it also cemented his place as one of Hollywood's leading men. It was exciting to see a cop who was persistent and smart. Since the movie was such a big hit, Hackman was no longer just a supporting actor. He became the star. Hackman kept stealing the show in the 1970s and 1980s, with great roles in movies like The Conversation, 1974, Superman, 1978, Hoosiers, 1986, and Mississippi Burning, 1988. From the evil genius of Lex Luthor in Superman to the inspiring basketball coach in Hoosiers to the determined FBI agent in Mississippi Burning, each role showed a different side of his acting skills. Hackman didn't have to play just one kind of role, though. He was a very versatile actor who could easily play both bad guys and characters with a lot of depth. The fact that he won his second Academy Award in 1992 for Best Supporting Actor in Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven, where he played the cruel sheriff Little Bill Daggett, showed how versatile he was. By the early 2000s, Hackman was still one of the biggest names in Hollywood. He kept wowing people with movies like The Royal Tenenbaums, 2001, and Runaway Hackman did make a shocking announcement in 2004, though, when he was at the top of his game. He stopped being an actor. He was still one of the most bankable stars in the business. So the decision shocked a lot of people. That is, until Hackman chose a different way. He quit Hollywood to focus on his personal life and his love of writing. Over the next few years, he wrote and published a number of books, ranging from historical fiction to thrillers. These books showed a whole new side of his creativity. A lot of people still love Gene Hackman, even after he stopped acting in movies. He wasn't just an actor. He was a symbol of people who never gave up regardless of what. Even though Hackman tried to live a quiet life, he couldn't get away from the problems and questions surrounding his death. As more and more information about his will and inheritance came to light, one question still needed to be answered. Was he really in charge of his own life until the very end? Or were there unseen forces working behind the scenes to change everything? Gene Hackman died in the same way he lived, quietly, mysteriously, and without leaving many markings. His Santa Fe home did more than just end a Hollywood legend when the doors were locked after he died. It set the stage for a very heated court battle. $80 million is not just a number. It's what a man left behind after a lifetime of controlling everything, even his own money. But the most important question is still unanswered. Who is really going to get this money? Hackman's will hasn't been made public yet, but the fact that he doesn't spend much time with his 3 kids makes it unclear whether they will actually get share of his estate. If his second wife, Betsy Arakawa, was the legal heir, her death at the same time as Hackman's has made things even more difficult. Hackman has 3 children. Will they fight to get back the inheritance? Or, as rumors about the secret GH Legacy Fund suggest, will the money go to someone or something we don't know? Are Betsy's family's claims legal? Within the next few days, answers may start to show up. One thing is for sure, though, this fight over the inheritance won't end soon. There could be lawsuits, shocking news, and maybe even secrets about Gene Hackman that were never meant to be revealed for years or even decades. But Gene Hackman didn't just leave money behind. He dedicated himself to movies for more than 40 years, making characters that were strong, dirty, and very complicated. Hackman never looked for glamour roles. He picked people who had many sides to them. Sometimes they were rough and mean, but they were always eerily true to life. From the French Connection's sassy detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle to Superman's smart bad guy, Lex Luthor, to Unforgiven's cruel sheriff, Gene Hackman left a legacy that can never be replaced. He wasn't just a great actor, he was genuine art. A man who isn't afraid to quit Hollywood and live his life his way. Hackman left Hollywood almost 20 years ago, but his name is still on old movies and in court papers, where family members, lawyers, and other interested parties are waiting for the final answer. Who deserves Gene Hackman's money the most? One thing will always be true, though, no matter how long the fight over his estate lasts. Nobody will ever question Gene Hackman's artistic legacy, and it will never go away. Tell me about your thoughts on Gene Hackman's life and work. He left behind a collection of films that will never be forgotten, but the last part of his life is still full of unanswered questions. Were these results of the choices he made, or were there forces at work behind the scenes that were controlling everything? Tell us what you think in the space below. Remember to hit like and subscribe to stay up to date as we keep finding the most shocking stories about Hollywood stars. Watch the next video, and thanks for watching. Thanks for coming.